Hey guys, so today I have 6 more rare weapons for you. These are colossal weapons and most people haven't even heard of them. Have you heard of the golem halberd?
Sorry, who is it?
I'll show you where to get these absolutely massive weapons, how to increase their damage and how to boost your chances of finding them quickly. Let's go. Okay, we'll start with the most damaging axe in the whole game, the dualist's greataxe. This thing has the highest base damage of any colossal weapon, and you can only get it at certain points. So in other words, if you progress too far into Elden Ring, you will actually lock yourself out of getting this weapon, which is exactly what I did, so thank God for New Game Plus. Not only does this weapon have a mere 4% drop rate, which means you'll have to grind for it, but it's also dropped from one enemy and one enemy only, and this is the dualist who patrols the entrance to the Colosseum, and that's in Lindell Royal Capital. Its description gives us a hint to this. This is a, quote, greataxe designed for gladiatorial combat, used by dualists who were exiled from the Colosseum. A weapon reserved for duelist champions, end quote. So basically this enemy was a champion of the Colosseum, but for some reason or whatever, they were booted out, and now they just sort of roam around outside fighting people in the car park. Now, the point at which you'll lock yourself out of getting this weapon is after you beat the boss of the crumbling Farum Azula. The boss here is Malekith the Black Blade. Beating this boss transforms Lendel Royal Capital into the capital of Ash, and all the enemies that used to be here will disappear. That includes the duelist outside the Colosseum. So basically, if your big tree in your game is on fire, you won't be able to get the best axe in the game. Which is annoying, but wait, there is one more way you can get the axe. Potentially, and that's because the duelist appears as a non-respawning enemy in 2 separate locations. The first is Sainted Hero's Grave, which is here, just past the room with the big ceiling blades falling down. I've already killed him in my game though, which is why he's not here now, and unfortunately he did not drop the axe. But we could try the second location, which is Gale Cave in Caelid. You'll find a duelist as a boss at the end of the cave. And again, he doesn't respawn, unfortunately. So if neither of these guys drop the axe, and you've already beaten Malekith the Black Blade, you won't be able to get this rare colossal weapon. If you wanted an alternate version of the dualist's greataxe, there is the rotten greataxe, and the good thing about this colossal axe is you can get it at any point in the game, even after you've beaten Malekith. The bad thing is this means it's not as rare, so by extension is not as cool, and it shouldn't even be in this video, to be honest. But the rotten greataxe also has slightly less damage than the dualist axe, but it compensates with scarlet rot damage, which is always good to have. If you missed out on the dualist's greataxe and you want this more toxic axe for yourself, head here. This is just to the west of Ordina, Liturgical Town. Head over to the rotten duelist and kill him for the axe. I got it first time, so it seems to be a guaranteed drop, but maybe I was just lucky, who knows. If you did want to boost your chances of getting rare items, by the way, skip to the chapter below marked Get Rare Items Faster, as I'll tell you how to do that. There are a few ways you can do that, and I'll tell you everything. The next colossal weapon is a sword reserved for trolls, so you can get an idea of its size from that, because the trolls are pretty big, and so is this sword. It's the Troll Knight Sword. This has an 8% drop rate, which isn't the rarest. Like, some weapons have literally less than 1% drop rate, but the Troll Knight Sword is easy to miss if you don't know where to look. According to the description, this is a greatsword embedded with a blue glintstone, which looks really, really nice. It's a weapon of the trolls in service to the royal family of Caria. These trolls were called into service when the Queen invoked an oath that they swore, and they're treated as true knights of Caria, fighting arm in arm with their human comrades. That's according to the description, I didn't just make that up. As such, you can find your first troll knight in Caria Manor. This is a pretty tough fight since you have to go through a few enemies to get to them, but there are 2 other troll knights you can try and farm that are slightly easier. These are on the route to the 4 belfries. So follow this path to 1 Troll Knight, and if the Troll Knight sword doesn't drop from this one, head west to the 2nd Troll Knight. These are spectral Troll Knights. They do look a bit weird and ghostly, like they do look slightly different, but they still have the same chance to drop the weapon. To be honest though, this weapon is more of a stepping stone weapon that you'll want to use while you're in the Liurnia of the Lakes area, and then you'll probably toss it aside when you get something better. The damage is low and you can't change the default Ash of War, so you're forced to use the Troll's Roar, which I don't really like that much. So yeah, this is a weapon that looks better than it is. If you want a slightly more hard-hitting Colossal Sword, get the standard greatsword from a chest in Caelid. There's better damage on that, and there's no need to farm it. You can pick it up for free. Although saying that, if you wield 2 troll swords at once, the second attack changes into this cool looking attack with both blades, so that is a plus, I guess. I kind of like that. Next up, it's the Executioner's Greataxe. Now, this isn't strictly a colossal weapon, but it does have a colossal level damage with increased critical hits, great reach, speed, and stagger ability. It's also rare as hell with a tiny 4% drop rates. So on average, out of 100 Elden Ring players, only 4 of them will have this weapon. Is that how probability works? Probably not, I have no idea. Anyway, to get this weapon for yourself, head to the Gate Town North site of Grace. From here, go south towards the big church. Next to here is a graveyard where skeletons rise from the ground. Target the one wielding the axe, and there's a small chance it'll drop the axe. To make things slightly quicker, when you die, you can choose to respawn at the statue of Marika, which is closer than the site of Grace. So let the skeletons kill you, or better yet, drink a potion that makes you explode, and then you can respawn at the Marika statue and cut down on the farming time. According to the description of the Executioner's Greataxe, this is a bulky cleaver welded to a long haft. It's said to have been used to dispatch the remnants of defeated armies, felling them like timber, which sounds pretty cool. Here's how to boost the damage. If you want to raise crit damage by 17%, slap on the Dagger Talisman. It makes the axe crits even stronger, so definitely recommend trying that. In terms of moveset, I recommend using the Flame of the Redmane's Ash of War. This insta staggers most things with a free crit for extra damage. Also, it does a ton of damage when fire infused. So yeah, even though the Executioner's Greataxe isn't classed as a colossal weapon, it has such high poise damage that it outdoes all colossal swords and half of the colossal weapons. And add in its other qualities like range, speed, and increased crits, and I definitely recommend hunting down this weapon. The next rare colossal weapon on our list is the Colossal Halberd. Now, I've talked about this before in another video, but I'll show you a potentially quicker way for you to farm it if you've not seen that video, as well as how to maximize its damage. So the Colossal Halberd is usually farmed from the golems on Limgrave Tower Bridge. However, it's only got 10% item discovery and the golems are pretty far away, so it's going to take you around 10 runs on average to get it. A quicker way is at Freezing Lake, site of Grace. Here the golems are much closer to the site of Grace, so you can keep returning and trying again. When you do finally get one, turn around and go back and get another, because dual wielding these weapons feels amazing. Use the Raptor's Black Feathers armor and the Claw Talisman, and your already strong jump attacks will get a massive boost, 25% in total to the jump attacks. As for Ashes of War to use, there's loads available on this weapon. For the jumping build that I'm talking about here, I use the Lion's Claw, but if you don't want to play like an angry flea, you can take advantage of its damaging charge attacks. So with that, I use the Axe Talisman, and then also put the Spiked Crack Tear in your flask. These two items together add 25% to your charged attacks, which is really, really good. Or you could use the Colossal Halberd as a healing stick by sticking Prayerful Strike on it, and when you've got this on it, every kill replenishes your health. And since it's got a really good range, you can stay back and get all your health back from a safe distance. The Golem Halberd is such a versatile weapon because it's the only colossal weapon that allows the Charge 4th Ash of War and the Piercing Fang Ash of War. Obviously though, if you want to do the most damage possible, level up that strength, give it a strength infusion, then just start whacking. The last colossal weapon on our list is, in my experience, the absolute rarest, and this is the Watchdog's Greatsword. It scales with S in strength, so double-handing this with a Fire or Lightning Ash of War does insane damage. Now, the Watchdog's Greatsword may be listed at an 8% drop rate on the wiki, but I grinded for this for hours before it dropped for me. The Watchdog's Greatsword can be farmed from the Giant Conquering Hero's grave. Head to this area to find the Watchdog, making sure you've got all your discovery items activated, so the Silver Scarab Talisman, the Godric's Rune, etc, etc. Watchdogs are especially weak to the Flame of the Redmane's Ash of War, so if you've got that, use that for an easier time. Once you got it, let's see how good the Watchdog's Greatsword actually performs. So how good is it? Well, compared to the regular Greatsword, it scales better, but it does do slightly less damage. The regular Greatsword is the best colossal sword in the game in terms of damage, And the watchdog's greatsword is a safe second. So it's almost the best, not quite. But in terms of moveset though, I actually like the watchdogs more, so for me, I do prefer the watchdogs, just in terms of moveset. The overhead slash is better, it just feels more precise. Also, the greatsword is not farmable, whereas the watchdogs is, so you can farm a bunch of watchdog swords and then customize their infusions to suit your PvP needs. That's one idea. Like maybe you want a bleed version, a lightning version, a frost version, then you can swap them out as needed. Okay, then in this chapter, I'll show you how to get rare items fast. All you need to do is level up your arcane stats. The higher the arcane, the more frequently enemies drop items. To boost your arcane level, wear the silver tier mask. That's a piece of armor with the highest arcane in the game with +8. You can also use the silver scarab talisman for an extra boost. As well as that, use Marika's source seal talisman, which basically boosts your stats across the board, including arcane. And also use Godric's Great Rune, which does the same. These both level up your arcane. And finally, I sometimes use a silver pickled fowl's foot for more item discovery, and that does make a big difference. It adds 50 points to item discovery compared with a silver tier mask, which adds just 8 as I mentioned. But to be honest, usually farming the ingredients for the silver pickled fowl's foot takes longer than actually farming the weapon you're going after, and the effect does reset when you rest, so I don't use this all the time. But anyway, doing all of this together will massively boost your arcane and therefore your item discovery. But there is one final way to max it out, and that's by literally leveling your arcane with runes. I'd say to around 60 or so. It's quite an investment, so what I'd do is, before you go on a farming run, respec your character. There, when you finally got the item you need, respec back to your original level. It helps if you're going after a few items rather than just one. So maybe queue up a few weapons or rare pieces of armor that you're going after, and then just level up your arcane for that little session. If you need more larval tears, check the link above for the video where I show you how to get larval tears. So there we go, those were the 6 rarest colossal weapons in Elden Ring. Have you managed to find these yet? And if so, what was your favorite? Have you managed to find any of these yet? If so, what was your favorite? Let me know in the comments. For me, my personal favorite is the dualist greataxe for the simple reason that the devs made it impossible to get when you're about halfway through the game. Can't get rarer than that. Anyway, thanks so much for watching. For more Elden Ring guides, subscribe to the channel.